vegan for?
Alright, in this video we are going to be installing some of the essentials that we need to live up here off grid. Our solar, our water, and our Starlink. We have to have internet because some of us work from home. And so in this first clip we're going to be installing the pole for the Starlink. We had to get it elevated because there was some side obstructions with the trees, so we had to get it up above that level so that we never lost our internet.
And then Dad stepped right in it and not covered.
Work on a fat man.
That's why I didn't do it.
Get a different angle. He's finishing screwing it on.
Yeah, right down there at the base. Supposed to have two on each one. Yeah, he didn't buy enough. Ah!
Alright, so now that we got the Starlink pole up, what we didn't show on there, we had 3 points cables that we come down for stability on it so that the wind didn't blow it around. But in this next clip, we were finishing up our solar system. We got a little excited to have power and forgot to record building the rack and putting the panels on, but we just used angle iron and bolts, put it at the right degree to catch the sun the majority of the day as it passed over. So in this clip, we're just buttoning this part up, getting the wires run and hooked up over into the Solark inverter so that we could have power to complete building the house.
Right, because you're going to use that slotted.
There'll be a pole right here, and then it's just going to move and you can only hook, it depends on your system, you can only hook so many together, or you'll over voltage or over amperage depending on how you connect them. And what we're going to do, it's going to be way under amp and way under volt when I'm done, so we won't have any problems with it overcharging. I'll hook 4 together and then 4 together. When you hook them together like this, they each produce right now, their max voltage that they produce is 12.9. If you hook them all together, you'd have a max voltage of amps, not volts, amps, 12.9 amps. And if you hook them all together, all you're ever going to produce is 12.9 amps out of that, but the wattage is too high because it multiplies. So what you're doing now, you've got 400, so you got 1600 watts, which I can't remember the formula for watts and amps equals volts, but we'll be under our amperage, under our wattage, and under our voltage by doing that. Then when we hook them together, the amps will increase by double because we'll put the 2 together at 12.9. So we're only going to be at 26, well, less than 26, 25.8 volts. So we'll say it'll go up to 26 volts going into a 50 volt, or amps. I keep saying volts, it's amps. Going into a 50 amp system, we've got no problem with an over amperage or over wattage or over voltage. So it's a string system is what it's called, string inverter system. And instead of microinverters are a whole different ball wax, and they're pretty darn awesome, but they're a lot more expensive. So, but with this, by hooking it like I was explaining, we're still going to get the same thing. The only problem with a string system is when it shades the panel, it actually decreases what all of them produce instead of just one. And that's where a microinverter is, in my opinion, better, because if you're in a place where you're going to get shade on one panel, it doesn't kill the whole string. So. Now remember, this is not a how-to video. This is a what we did video. Whatever, you old man. That's my dad. 3.8. That's awesome. That is awesome. Okay, what we got is a Starlink, which is a whole house inverter, off-grid or on-grid. We're going to be off-grid, which is awesome. But we've got 8 solar panels, 8 400 watt solar panels coming in here into the inverter. And what it does, the inverter inverts the 12 volt that the panels produce into 110, which is what right now our trailers are running off of. And what we're not using right now, we're using 0.51 and producing 3.09
kilowatts.
And what the excess is going, the 2.45 difference is going into the battery for storage. So when the sun goes out, we still have power. But we've been running off of a generator and charging that battery, but now we shouldn't have to run that generator at all. As long as we get 4 or 5 hours of good sun through the day, it should charge the battery up enough to last through the night into the next day, so we should be in good shape. So.
All right, so in this clip again, we got a little excited to have running water instead of having to go fill up water tanks and pump them into the campers. And we forgot to record the process of putting all the pipe in and running the other pipe up into our storage tanks.
In this open, we're getting a lot of junk and debris in, and it's clogging the pump up and stopping. So we got some screen material, and I'm going to drill a bunch of holes around the pipe so we've got multiple ways that the water can get in here. And then I'm going to cut a piece of screen back in here and zip tie it on so it'll filter the water. Yay. be enough for both of them. We go like this. Cut it here. And we wrap this. Double it up on the bottom. I don't know. Stuff is stiff.
Is that gonna let enough water get through?
Should. It'll be submerged, so. I think we gotta cut it so it's not all doubled up. And I got it all bent. I think just have it.
A little, yeah.
Cut it off over here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try that then. You like that better?
Mm-hmm.
Probably don't even, well, kind of do need to fold it. You don't want stuff getting in the side. Ow! See if these are long enough. I gotta put them together. Okay. Let's leave this out until we get that one done, so we're not trying to fight water in that bucket. So just put this on the ground for here. The thing that won't stay on. Look at all that that's coming in there.
Well,
Now, I'm gonna get the pipe out of the bucket. It's a pain in the butt. Let's see if I can get my drill in there. The problem is I can't get any in sideways. Can't get through the bucket. Maybe time left. Okay. Okay, let's see if that works. I think it will. Go back up and put the line back in the water, fill the bucket up, and then we'll go down and open the valve. Make sure we have enough water flow. I'm using these two buckets as kind of a sediment filter. I've got two buckets put together and I've got about a 3-inch gap in between the two on the bottom. So the top bucket, I've drilled a bunch of holes in the bottom. The bottom bucket, I've drilled them out the back sides. So in theory, the heavy dirts, little rocks, whatever, should fall through and then wash out of the bottom. And then I've got them tilted back at kind of an angle. You can see the water running off. So the loose, lighter debris, branches, pine cones, hopefully flows out. And it should keep from plugging my filter up with that constant movement of water in there. It's worked so far, but this screen, this little screen we had capped over the pipe just wasn't the right fit. It kept falling off and letting debris in there and plugging up the check valve that runs the ram pump. So we'll see how this screen material does. I'm just letting everything flush through right now, clean out all the plastic pipe that we drilled and all the other loose debris, and then we'll go turn it on and see if it works. All right, so this is where everything ends up. This is the ram pump that we have set up. So the problem we were having with not having that screened off very well is we were getting little chunks of pine cone or little pieces of bark, and they'd get stuck in this check valve and it wouldn't keep flapping. Even something like this will keep that from sealing off, and it won't work properly. So now that we have that all fixed, we're going to open the water back up and see if it works. We might have to watch it. It's pumping out some stuff that was still in the pipe. Every once in a while you can see a little piece of branch, or I mean, look how dirty that is. Little pieces of bark. That screen was completely off up there. Even these little pine needles will get stuck just like that. So that from happening. So as soon as we flush this, get all the water that was in there, all the dirty water out, we should be good to go. Now what this is doing is you've got this check valve here, and then there's another check valve here, so these are working together. And it's pressurizing water in this tube here. And then we've got this line that runs all the way up about 600 feet, 700 feet into some water storage tanks. And then we're gravity feeding back down into the RVs right now through a filter system. So this is keeping us supplied with water. And this water is really clean. I wouldn't hesitate to drink right out of this creek, but we run it through a pretty nice filtration system just to not chance getting beaver fever, giardia, or whatever, and clogging up the faucets in the campers. And I don't know how long it's going to take to run through all the water that's in that pipe. Probably quite a while. We'll probably just have to let it go and check on it periodically. But we didn't slow down our water flow. Everything's still working like it should. Still see little bits of junk coming out every once in a while, but hopefully that's the majority of the big stuff anyway. Oh yeah, now we're getting chunks of plastic from drilling the pipe, so we're about through it. That didn't take long, did it?
No.
It's gonna spray you if you don't watch out. Plastic's getting stuck in there. Oh yeah, look at all that. Now we're gonna have to sit here and pick all this chunks of plastic up so it's not all over the place. Oh, it's getting it. think we got it.
Sweet.
Good job.
All right, now that these three things are knocked off the list, it's extremely relieving to be able to have power and water and contact with loved ones and whatever you need for the internet, and just makes living life up here a little bit easier. Make getting the house built and running Homestead seem a little bit more attainable.
Thanks for watching.